Hello, Hal Nygren here, New Jersey Film Festival Executive Director and Curator, with the last of our filmmaker interviews for the Spring 2016 New Jersey Film Festival, which will be taking place at Rutgers University between January 30th and March 4th on select Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. in our state-of-the-art facility, Voorhees Hall, room 105, on the College Avenue campus in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Today we have the charming director, Molly Gondor, of the film, the documentary film, Peanut Gallery. And Peanut Gallery is a very, very interesting film, personal film, first-person film documentary about the loss of Molly's sister. And welcome, Molly.
Thank you.
Tell us how you came about making this film.
Well, this film started in my mid-20s. My sister died when I was 10 years old. And it wasn't until my mid-20s that I started to kind of feel disconnected from her and disconnected from my grief and my family, and feeling like I needed to face that somehow. And this film kind of came out of that.
I was just shocked by the amount of footage that you had as well. I mean, I guess your dad shot a lot of this stuff early on VHS, and I mean, that's a wealth of footage for you to use, and that also helped you retrace what was taking place when you were a kid. I mean, how much younger were you from your sister?
I was 4 years younger than my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was always looking up to her, and it wasn't until after I finished making the film that I realized that my father is a documentary filmmaker in his own way. You know, I realized probably where the urge came from.
I mean, it's an amazing sociological study of a family coming to terms with loss, but it's so much more than that, don't you think?
I think so. People really respond, when they see the film, they respond to all of the family aspects of it. I think there's so much about mother-daughter relationships that people relate to, and also father-daughter, and about sibling relationships that I think hasn't been explored that much on the screen, and it's kind of all the imperfect ways that we try to communicate with our families, and how awkward it can be, even though there's so much love. It's kind of finding the...
But it's so real. I mean, I think some of the interaction you have with your mom is obviously very strained, but the filming goes on. It's not turned off, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, was that still... Your dad's in that scene. Who actually shoots that? Is that...
There was nobody else in the room, so a lot of times...
So you just kind of set it on auto, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, but how long did it take you to kind of put all this together?
A long, long time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even look at the footage for 2 years after I shot it. I mean, I continued shooting, but I wasn't looking at anything I was shooting. And then the editing process was about 2 years.
Yeah, you could tell.
Well.
And you need to kind of withdraw from the process to kind of see it with renewed vigor and new eyes, in a sense. Yeah. So, congratulations. Your film was also accepted to Slamdance, which is an honor. And at the same time, you were involved in a previous film that's also gained some notoriety. You were the producer on Gasland, which is a very important environmental documentary that made the rounds a couple of years ago. How did you get involved in that film?
There's not too much of a story. It was just through a friend. The director, Josh Fox, was a friend of a friend, and he needed a producer, and I was looking to produce. So.
And so was that your entree into the film world? Had you made films before that?
I'd been working at PBS as an associate producer, and so I'd done some little things in college. And, you know, I knew that's what I wanted to do, but that was the first big project I worked on.
So Peanut Gallery is the name of your film, and I promised to ask you this. Why Peanut Gallery?
The title is a reference to kind of how I felt when I started making the film, which was that I felt kind of like an outside observer to my family and to my own life, in a sense, and also to my memories of my sister, and I didn't. So the filmmaking process for me was coming into the family and coming into those memories and kind of finding my role in my grief and in my life.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's an important film for people to see, because it is a window into everybody's lives, because we will all lose loved ones, and sometimes prematurely, and sometimes, is always going to take place. It's not something you can avoid. So I think you learn quite a bit about the ramifications of loss in your film. So I really experienced a lot of what you probably experienced from a detached perspective when I watched your film, but at the same time, as a sociological study in its own right, you're able to remove yourself from the process as well? Or is that, you have to do that when you're putting it together, right?
Do you mean like while I was editing?
Yeah.
I think it was a process of kind of coming in and out. It's always been such a personal process,
Yeah.
so I'm never able to completely separate.
Right, because it
But-
is you and it's your life, and at the same time, the title evoking the fact that you're looking from outside is something that you definitely feel at the same time when you're watching the film. Well, we've run out of time, Molly, but thanks so much for joining us. And folks, you got to see this wonderful film on Sunday, February 21st. There is a short film prior to Molly's Peanut Gallery. It's called The Yellow Stars of Tolerance, which is a documentary by Kurt Fissel, also a Jersey native, that focuses on preserving the yellow stars that were used during the Nazi Holocaust. So I recommend both of these films. Sunday, February 21st, Voorhees 105 at 7 p.m. General admission is $12, $10 for students and seniors. And Molly's going to be there to do a Q&A, so please join us. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Grief, they say, feels like fear. Or, more specifically, like suspense.